Bonjour à tous. Today I'm going to give you a brief presentation definition of what we call agroecological practices. You're aware that we face today a serious challenge in food production as more food is needed on a global level. Intensive agriculture allowed a very important gain in productivity, but we see today the environmental and social limits of this model of production. Different alternatives are proposed: organic farming, climate smart agriculture, and also agroecology. All these alternatives are non mutually exclusive. Among them, agroecology is defined today as, at the same time, a movement, a science, and a practice. Agroecological practices are agricultural practices aiming to produce a significant amount of food, but in valorizing in the best way ecological processes and ecosystem services, in integrating them as fundamental elements in the development of the practices. So agroecological practices actually are a really large set of practices. Some are really innovative, like new biocontrol solution. We can cite as example the use of the trichograms against the corn borer in corn crop, for example. But other are just traditional know-how that are readapted, optimized in the best way, and sometimes with the addition of new technology. I'm thinking of, for example, the mixed crop livestock system, which existed since long time and were quite common in the agriculture before the Green Revolution. These agroecological practices have different degree of complexity and request different change in the agroecosystem. On this arrow, I plotted some example of agroecological practices from very simple at crop scale to far more complex at farming system scale. So, for example, at the beginning, we have what we call substitution practices, meaning that you substitute one product or one practice by another one. Like for organic fertilization or biofertilizers, you replace a chemical product, synthetic product, by a natural one, or classical biological control, natural pesticide, where you replace a chemical product, a phytochemical product, pesticide, by natural product or natural enemies. Then you've got a bit more complex practice like reduced TH or direct seeding into living mulch or cover crop, which are soil work practices that request from the farmer to be specifically skilled and also to think on a longer term in his rotation. In the same idea, crop species association or cultivar mixture or the diversification of the crop rotation are practices that request from the farmer to think on longer term in time and so to anticipate and to plan for effect on a longer time scale. Then you've got far more complex practice once again with integration of semi-natural elements, either at the field scale on the surrounding of the field, the implementation of flower strip or edges, grass strip, or even at larger scale like a landscape scale. So this kind of practice requests often a cooperation at least regional or territorial scale. practice like agroforestry or mixed crop livestock system, where different kind of production in agroforestry, different plant production as are associated, and mixed crop livestock system, where at the same time plant and animal production are associated, a request from the farmer to rethink its full system in terms of production, but also in terms of valorization of his product. These practices are often based on a diversification of the agroecosystem, diversification at different scale, from genetic scale to production level. For example, the use of a mixture of variety for a crop allow to increase the genetic diversity within the field. In the same idea, the use of species association allow an increase in plant diversity within the crop field. The diversification of the crop within rotation allow an increase of the diversity, plant diversity in time. And ultimately, the combination within agroecosystem of different plants, following the model of the agroforestry, or of different production with a mixed crop livestock system, increase the diversity of production. And with the increase of the diversity of production, of course, also increase the overall diversity of the agroecosystem. So these different practices have different degree of integration in today's agriculture, some being largely implemented and other being more anecdotic. And the potential for adoption of these practices depend first on their complexity, if they are easy to implement or if they request a lot of change and if they request a redesign of the full system. Then also their adoption depend of the policy supporting them. When I speak about policy, I'm also thinking about subsidies for farmers when they are implementing such a practice. And we can see the effect, for example, of the CAP on the integration of semi-natural element within the landscape, as it was somehow promoted by the second pillar of the CAP, as also were the cover crops, which are now practiced quite commonly used within the European Union. And so to promote in the future a practice of several practices, to have supporting policies along with subsidies is very important. Then the adoption of the practice is also linked to what happened at the farmer and other territorial stakeholders scale. For example, right now in France, we've got a huge interest of farmers for agroforestry because there is a lot of living discussion going on this kind of system. So for the moment, it's not subsidized specifically, but farmers heard about that and discussed among them about such a practice. So I thank you for your attention and I'm available for question.